Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of NFL Draft Triple Take presented by UPMC. Mike Prisuta, Dale Lolley, and Matt Williamson with you once again as we try to do our best to get you prepped up and studied up for the NFL Draft today. The three of us will be talking about our first-round mocks, Mock 2.0. We kind of threw some stuff at the wall to get things started, to get the ball rolling. And I don't know about you guys, I'm still at the throw stuff at the wall stage of this mock draft process. It's a little early in the game for me, but we do get an idea and an appreciation, more importantly, of these players as we talk about them in this kind of context. I wanted to do things a little bit differently for mock 2.0. Our first mock, not that it wasn't all compelling and fascinating, but it took a while to get through it, 32 picks, and we all got a lot of opinions. So we're going to break this up into thirds, kind of. I wasn't a math major. We're going to go picks 1 through 10, 10 through 20, and then 20 through 32. And I just want to feel you guys out and get an idea of what you think the compelling parts of those sections of the round are, what you're most interested in seeing unfold. Matt, let's start with you. Because looking at the Lions at number 2, I think everybody in America has Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan going to Detroit. Is that the biggest lock of this entire draft?
Assuming Evan Neal or someone else goes number 1, which is how I projected it, and I think that both these guys will light the combine up. I think so. I mean, there's always that wild card out there of could one of these quarterbacks, just blow everybody away and everybody's calling to get up in that top 5. I just don't think that's the case. I think the Lions and Hutchinson, and oh, by the way, went to Michigan, are the perfect marriage for what they're looking for with their franchise.
Dale, the quarterback class is generating a lot of interest, as it always does. I'm sensing more disparity of opinion or disagreement of analysis maybe than ever before. Is Carolina at 6 a quarterback possibility? Is Denver at 9 a quarterback possibility? I've got Carolina going tackle and the Broncos going with a quarterback, but how do you see it breaking down?
It's good. It's a lot's going to depend on how the free agent market breaks down. When we start free agency on March 16th, are those teams going to be aggressive and go out and sign somebody or make a trade for somebody, in which case either they won't be picking in these spots or they'll take something else. So that's something that you want to keep an eye on here. But certainly I think the Carolina Panthers are in play. I think that's where the quarterback talk starts. And then you got Denver at 9, where is also a quarterback. The other teams in the top 10, maybe Atlanta's in that quarterback market, but I just don't see that this year. Certainly, when you start then at 11, the Washington Commanders would also be a quarterback team.
Yeah, Matt and I both have Kenny Pickett of Pitt going to the Commanders. Dale, I think you had Pickett there last time, but you're switching it up this time. Am I remembering that correctly?
I believe so. I got him going at 9 to Denver, again, assuming they don't do something, to acquire a veteran quarterback. I know a lot of fans are talking about this draft like Pickett's a slam dunk to be the number 1 quarterback taken. There's no way that he gets past this or that or whatever. That's not the case. I think, a lot of what happens at the combine, how the interviews go, the on-field workouts, the measurements, all that stuff's going to play a factor in this.
Oh, huge. I know Williamson's going to be out there with his hando-meter measuring that double-jointed thumb.
But you're also, the thing that we didn't get to see, Mike, is we got to see 5 of the top 6 quarterbacks at the Senior Bowl. But we didn't get to see Matt Corral, and he's also in that conversation. So now, presumably, assuming all these guys go to the combine and throw and do all that stuff, you're going to get a chance to see them all and talk to them all. They all got to do interviews at the Senior Bowl as well, while Corral didn't. So, that's going to play a factor here as well.
Looking at the bottom end of the 11 through 20 segment of our mock 2.0 here on the first round, the Steelers are picking 20th. Matt, I think you and I are both in concert on Malik Willis of Liberty going to Pittsburgh. And Dale, I'm looking for your number 20 overall selection here.
Willis didn't make it down to them in my selections. I have him taking Trevor Penning.
Just because the court, if the quarterback's there, they take him. But since he's not there,
not there, you go with the next best guy. I don't know if Trevor Penning makes it down to them, but I'll tell you what, if you want to create a mindset on your offensive line and kind of have a guy that's a tone setter, that guy's a tone setter. You're going to be a nasty physical offensive line when he's part of your line. I think the other guys would then kind of pick up from that, and kind of take that along as well. He played some guard at the Senior Bowl, so you could put him there initially. You could put him at tackle. It just depends on what you want to do with him. But I like him. In fact, you're starting to see some mock drafts out there that now have him as the number 3 tackle in this draft, as opposed to Charles Cross dropping to 4th.
Yeah, interesting stuff there. I have Penning going 17 to the Chargers, so he wasn't even in the mix with me for the Steelers. And I think I might get accused a little bit of some homerism here, having Willis fall all the way to 20, because deep down, I think he'll go earlier than that. But I had Pickett going 11 to Washington. And then after that, there's not that many hurdles, that a quarterback has to jump over.
Yeah, I have Willis going to the Saints at 18. So
yeah,
I mean, that's
I thought
one
about
of the
New
big
Orleans,
hurdles.
but
Yeah.
I have a hunch that New Orleans is going to lock up Jameis Winston and not be in this market and go after a receiver item, take Drake London. So, I mean, maybe the Steelers have to move to 17 for a Willis or a quarterback of their choice. But
and maybe they can. I mean,
right.
Philadelphia's got picks at 15, 16, and 19.
You would think they're going to move one way or another. They're not.
Yeah, they're not making all 3 of those, right? And the Chargers at 17, probably defensive linemen, but you could maybe move down a couple and reap a little reward for getting the guy you would have got anyway. That's a move possibility as well, I would think. Willis, to me, Matt, I think the most upside maybe of all these guys, but I also think he's got the furthest to go, and he's coming from the furthest point away. And I know it only takes one team to love him and pick him, but I bet there's a lot of disparity of opinion on this guy.
100%. And you have to have a little bit of job security to draft a guy like that as well. Like Carolina comes to mind of maybe they can't wait. You don't want to draft them for the next staff or group. And, obviously the Steelers have that advantage. And the other thing, I 100% agree with what you're saying, but I also think the day that Willis gets drafted, he's the second or third best running quarterback in the league already, and a much better prospect than, say, a guy like Jalen Hurts, who's getting by with that as he's learning. So I think you could throw him in the mix right away because of some of the traits he has possibly, well, I mean, who knows? You see how he worked out in the preseason and whatnot, but because of his trump cards, he might be able to stay above water while he's learning the finer points.
Dale's he a guy that you have a package for if he's a rookie? And he's
I think you do. I think you
short
come
yardage, goal line.
Yeah.
Much like the Ravens did with Lamar Jackson his rookie year, and it gives him a chance to get behind center a little bit and learn the speed of the game while he's learning the position. And he's a great. He had the second or the fastest. They measure the ball coming out of these guys' hands at the Senior Bowl. Josh Allen had the fastest time in that. Since they've been
miles per hour thing. It's how hard
miles per hour out of their hand. He beat Josh Allen's throw by 10 miles per hour. 10 miles per hour. And, oh, by the way, is an outstanding runner. I don't know if he makes it out of the top 10 when it's all said and done. I think he's the number one quarterback in this draft class. But, he's not going to be for everyone. To Matt's point. I think you're going to have a team that's willing to work with this guy and has that kind of stability. Again, I think you have to be a coaching staff that's pretty secure in your jobs and not on the hot seat. And, but I do think there are some things that you can do with this guy as a rookie that you couldn't do with other quarterbacks in this draft class.
And of course, some of these free agent quarterbacks will be signed by then. Jimmy Garoppolo could be on a different team, so teams with quarterback needs like Denver comes to mind. I had them passing on a quarterback just with the hunch that they might land somebody who's a little more win nowish.
Yeah. Just so people are clear, Mike and I aren't talking about a slash package here. We're not talking about Cordell Stewart part 2, where you make him a wide receiver. You make him a weapon in the backfield.
No, you bring him in on 3rd and 2 and you run a play action boot or a designed quarterback run, similar to what Buffalo does with Josh Allen.
Because he's a big guy.
Do that on the goal line. Yeah, find creative ways to incorporate his talents in a manner that they can help your football team win, which is kind of the idea with everybody. Dale, let's stick with you. Picks 21 through 32, our last third, so to speak, of the mock 2.0 edition of the first round. A little more than a third, but Jameson Williams, you've got him going 26th to Tennessee, and that's, of course, the profoundly talented wide receiver from Alabama who suffered the knee injury in the national championship game. And that probably knocked him, out of the top 15, but not out of the first round if the medicals are positive.
It's going to be tough to kind of project where he goes. He's much kind of like Willis, the conversation we just had there. For a coaching staff to be able to take him and be able to maybe have him sit and wait, until, let's say, November, until he's ready to fully get back to football type stuff. You got to be a pretty secure coaching staff in your job. Like you're not in a situation where your team's in disarray and you're going to wait on this kid, and by the time he's ready to go, you've already been fired. So one of these teams, to me, I really think it starts maybe at 20 down as opposed to 15 down, where he's that guy. If you're adding him to a team that was a playoff team last year, you had a pretty good roster that you can kind of get by without this guy until he's ready to go. Because, if not for the injury, I thought he was the best receiver in this draft class.
Yeah, I didn't factor in trades to my first round here. So I got him going to Philly, actually, in that clump of picks, 15, 16, 19.
That's not a bad spot either. Yeah.
No, right. They need one.
They can wait a little bit, but they do need
And they've got the excess picks that they can afford to do that.
Matt, you had a thought?
Yeah, I like that landing spot too. I had him going to the Raiders as a real Al Davis pick. I mean, if this guy could run a 40, he would light it up. And that when they lost Ruggs, their offense noticeably dropped off. A vertical threat like that would make a lot of sense. To Dale's point, maybe a team like Arizona or Buffalo or Tennessee, as he mentioned, or even Tampa or Kansas City, that's pretty well set, can win games as he recovers.
And Dale, speaking of your selections, 31st overall, DeMarvin Leal, Texas A&M going to the Bengals. I think everybody but you has the Bengals picking an offensive lineman. Not that they don't need defense as well, but seemingly there's more of a crying need on the other side of the ball. Is this a best athlete or most intriguing chess piece available type of pick?
I really think the Bengals will probably address the offensive line in free agency. They have the cap space to do so. They're kind of in that win now mode because Burrow's still on his rookie contract. So they can then afford to take that best player available, not to mention the fact that I had the Dolphins taking Bernard Raymond, the offensive tackle out of Central Michigan, who would make a lot of sense for the Bengals as well. So, if that's the case and the offensive linemen are pretty much picked over by the time you get to 31, which is the case oftentimes. I mean, that's the problem with picking at the, from 25 down, you're not getting blue chip offensive linemen. Getting Leal there, who I think is the best pass rushing defensive tackle in this draft. He would fit into what they do defensively. They want to get there with that 4-man pass rush, and I think he fits that.
Leo could even play DN for them, and they always like king size DNs in their 4-3. That makes some sense.
Yeah, and he can wherever he lines up in early downs, he can rush the passer from inside. To Dale's point, that 4-man rush, he's going to help that. And another guy that just looks ridiculously good to me.
Texas A&M has a lot of those guys in this draft.
But I mean, I'm just talking how he wears 290 pounds. I mean,
yeah. These guys look athletic. They look like power forwards.
They're recruiting pretty well there, apparently.
Coaching them up pretty good, too. That's going to do it for our mock 2.0. I want to remind everybody a couple things. Number one, these are subject to change. At least mine is. It already has. Guys, I know you moved a few spots around on yours as well, but we're not taking this to Vegas just yet. We're just kind of going through the reps and seeing how the balls fall and getting a early look at round one. We will all zero in when it is time, but we're not there yet. But in the meantime, by all means, please keep finding us however and wherever you're finding us, and play along at home with the mock draft board version of Triple Take Game. You can get those somewhere. You can get these programs on all of the Steelers' social media platforms. Matt, Dale, and myself are doing a number of things, both positionally and globally, in terms of the mocks as we get you ready for the upcoming NFL draft. Until the next time, for Matt Williamson and Dale Lolley, I'm Mike Prisuta. You've been listening, watching, reading, experiencing the NFL Draft Triple Take presented by UPMC.